Hey Salesforce Hub, welcome to today's session. My name is Shruti and I want you to know that today we are going to discuss about the podcast series which I've designed as a course as well, that is to clear your interview at Capgemini. Today we are going to discuss about the rest of the questions which I had compiled during the tenure, that is last 2 weeks. I had planned my schedule to execute few of the questions as a reference to your authority. That is, you have to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and you should be able to enroll to my courses, that is admin developer and advanced developer, where the developer course is in progress. And if you want to register to my course, you can register by texting me, that is at 8000330007. The course is for 2 months and it is for rupees 750. That is the live session. Self-paced is for rupees 500. Now, when it comes to the admin course, I'll start the admin course maybe from the next week after I receive few enrollments. Few are in progress, few are waiting for a confirmation either from a friend or a colleague who wants to join the course. And I want to congratulate the students who are part of the self-paced course, that is the other group, which helped me to conclude that my course is receiving a positive feedback. And in case you want to refer to the PDF which I am executing in this, or if I am displaying a PDF in this video, and I feel when we use the word execution, we stammer because we are scared of the execution phase of our life, especially when it comes to the deployment phase. So now, what is execution context? System versus user mode. So when it comes to system versus user mode, you should understand that there are two verticals, that is system versus the user mode. User mode is part of this conference, that is the execution phase, where we can understand that the users can be part of the execution phase only if they are part of the execution cycle. That is, after we test the application. Now, when we speak about the execution phase versus the flow and apex, that is the next question. How do you explain flow versus apex boundaries? We can explain the flow versus apex boundaries if we are part of the developer ownership. That is, the developer ownership is part of this curriculum only if we use with sharing, and admin versus developer ownership is part of this curriculum only if they are similar. So now, when we speak about the phases of execution, we should understand that the flow versus apex boundaries are similar and they have their boundaries based on your governor limits. And again, it depends on the license which the client has purchased. What causes performance degradation in flows? So, excessive after save logic. Now, if we speak about the after save logic, we should understand that the excessive recursive functionality, that is to use for loop and then conclude that we can add an if statement, that is after we start executing the logic, will hit the governor limits after we save the logic. So we should use a method, that is for and if, and then we should execute the if statement by using an empty list. How do you manage bulk updates? Bulk save flows are part of this curriculum where we can add the bulk save flows by just adding the references. That is, if they are bulk save, then we can update their flows based on the trigger that they use, that is after save. Now, when I speak about the interviews at Capgemini, we should understand that the flows are part of this curriculum where this is a continuation of the previous video. So now we should understand that the flows are part of the bulk updates after they are executed. Now, if we use asynchronous process, then we can understand that it is a batch apex which can help you to execute more than 200 records, for example, and then we can continuously execute the batch classes based on the requirement. How do you ensure data integrity? Now, data integrity is part of this curriculum because of validation and controlled automation. When we use validation and controlled automation, we should understand that the data integrity is part of this the sales and service cloud because of the requirement and not because of the question which is asked during a client call. So when we are part of an interview, we should answer the question as validation is part of the controlled automation because of the data integrity issues that we face, that is to hit the gamma loops. When we use the recursive functionality, that is a for loop. What is OWD and why is it critical? When we speak about OWD, it is critical because of the security baseline. Security baseline is part of this itinerary, that is the OWD settings, and the baseline context is the manual sharing, which is critical. And if we are able to understand if it is private, and I'm sorry about the network issues in between this session, because we all face network issues, and if we are able to understand our priorities, we can comment in the comment section that you are not able to understand the logic, so that I can respond to your statement. That is, if you are able to understand, then it's good, else I'll explain the logic. Now when it comes to security baseline, the OWD settings help us to manually share the records. How do you debug a flow? We can debug a flow by using flow interviews and debug logs. So debug logs help you to understand the analytics of the flow, and the flow interviews are part of this audit trail. And the debug logs are part of audit trail only if we are forced to execute the security issues as for loops and if statements, and conclude that we can use for loop and if statements if the flows are part of this task, that is to create flows and then execute the code. What's your approach to a poorly designed org? So first we have to use the audit trail and understand if we can track the logs, and then we have to refactor the curriculum, that is the sales and service cloud can be part of this second or third phase. When we use audit trail, it will be the second or third phase of the project, where we have to refactor gradually, that is to answer the questions of the client in the client call and then perform the audits on the by asking the testers to test the application. How do admins support developers? So clear contacts and clean data. So when we use clear contacts and clean data, we should be able to understand that the contacts and clean data are part of this client requirement, and we have to understand the support. To support developers, we should be able to clear the contracts and clean the data by just understanding the logic. For example, if you clear the contracts, that is by executing the code and uploading the data using the data loader or the inspector, that is the Salesforce inspector, then we will be able to understand the difference between the deployment phase and the UAT. That is, when we are part of UAT phase, we have to submit the project to the client. Again, it depends on the company. The company which I worked in, that is my previous company, helped me to understand that this is part of the logistic. That is, if we are part of a curriculum, that is sales or service cloud, we should be able to execute the phases of the debug cycle, for example, and then we should be able to conclude that we have completed the project. What differentiates a junior versus senior admin? So when we execute the foresight, that is, when we execute the foresight with the itineraries, we will be able to differentiate between the admin and the developer. So when we speak about the admins, we should be able to understand that the context which are provided is related to the admin and the developers, but when we see the execution foresight, we should be able to understand that an admin can differentiate between the junior admin, that is the senior admin can differentiate his execution foresight with the junior admin by just understanding the logic behind the security settings and then executing the phases of testing. So as a tester, you should be able to understand the admin part in during the when you're clearing the rounds of intake. So now that I explained the questionnaire, I want you to understand that this is just part of this video series. But if you want to be part of my coaching center, I conduct demos at between 3:30 to 4 every day, on weekdays, and I will be conducting a workshop in the month of March, and I want you to be available. Maybe March 1st or March 2nd, I'm not sure, but I'll conduct a workshop and I will conclude my gratitude to my mentors because they saved me. Especially I want to thank the CEO Mark Benioff of Salesforce, that is Mark Benioff, and Arundhati Bhattacharya, that is CEO of Salesforce India, for helping us to achieve our success stories by just guiding our Salesforce trailblazers. So I want the Salesforce Ohana to bless me with good strength to fight this battle, that is unemployment in India because of lack of knowledge in Java, for example. But in Apex you will be able to understand even Java and JavaScript. That is, if you learn Apex, you will be able to execute any code even in future. If you're part of another project where you have to use MuleSoft, you'll be able to understand the logic. Okay. Before I end the session, I want you to like, share and subscribe to my channel and comment in the comment section below, and follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter and Instagram. On Instagram, the name of my account is Silent Infusions, and my LinkedIn account is Shruti MN, and Twitter account is Shruti Nandya. Now I want you to forward your queries to 80500333007, or you can forward your queries to shruthinarasi@gmail.com. That is my email address, shrutinarasi@gmail.com. Thank you.